The expansion will ensure a consistent supply of respirators make it into the hands of those Canadians who need them the most, helping to keep them safe both now and well into the future. This domestic manufacturing of N95s was made possible through harnessing the power of the 3M Global Organization and bringing that expertise to a collaboration with the Government of Canada and the Government of Ontario. As the pandemic continues, our goal at 3M Canada is to increase the supply of N95 respirators and ensure that our country is prepared to distribute critical personal protective equipment for many years to come. The respirators that are now being produced at Brockville are a testament to what we can achieve when we work together. As a global organization, we applied learnings from sites and experts across the world to expand the manufacturing capabilities at Brockville. As we start seeing the light at the end of the tunnel, we are honored to be part of the plan to help Canadian businesses return to work as our economy begins to recover. Since the start of the pandemic, we have supplied PPE to our heroic nurses, healthcare workers, and first responders, and we will continue to do so. But our Brockville facility will also help us play a critical role as we look to safely reopen the economy by providing crucial respirators to protect Canadians in other key industries, including our industrial and oral care customers. Now I'd like to invite the Honorable François-Philippe Champagne, Minister of Innovation, Science and Industry, to say a few words. Minister Champagne, over to you.
Well, thank you very much, Penny, and good afternoon to everyone. Bonjour tout le monde. It's a real pleasure to be with you all virtually this time. But we promise, I think, Penny, on behalf of all of us, that we'll have a tour one day. When all this is behind us, we'll all gather one day and we can see the facility. So, I mean, needless to say, it's a real pleasure. I must say, as president of 3M Canada, you're a truly inspiring leader. And you know, I quoted you in my last speech of the Canadian Chamber of Commerce to say how inspiring you are, not only to me, but to many business leaders and many women in our country. And I just wanted to say, it's great to be joining you today virtually. To my dear friend, Anand, the Minister of Public Service and Procurement, well, she's known now to almost every Canadian. She led the efforts to bring millions of vaccines to protect Canadians. And I would say, when you talk about true leadership, Anita, it's a real honor to share this announcement, obviously, with you today. To my good friend, Vic Fedeli, the Ontario Minister of Economic Development, Job Creation and Trade. Vic, it seems that every time we get together, we talk about jobs and growth. I mean, we're becoming standard features now. Last week was about Sanofi, and today we're talking about another great company investing in our country. So it's a real pleasure to be joining you. To Minister Steve Clark, the Ontario Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing, real pleasure, sir, to be with you today for, I would say, a landmark announcement. Really, this is really something that we will all remember. And Minister Lisa Thompson, what a pleasure again, as the Minister of Government and Consumer Services, playing a vital role, not only in our community, but obviously across Ontario. So real pleasure to be joining you today. Well, ladies and gentlemen, dear friends, we're here today to highlight, as the President of 3M Canada said, some extremely exciting news. The very first of the famous N95, and I would say, Penny, I think the N95 masks are probably known now by all Canadians. You know, we talk so much about the N95 mask, but now they're going to be made right here at the 3M facility in Brockville in Ontario. And I think that should make all of us very proud as Canadians. This is really what I would call, for us, a full circle moment. Today, it's all about supporting, you said it well, the frontline workers. It's also about co-investing to support good manufacturing jobs in Ontario. And it's also to ensure greater resiliency for Canada when it comes to personal protective equipment, and something that all of us in governments at all levels have been working extremely hard to make sure that our nation would be more resilient, whatever may come next. Just 1 year ago, COVID-19 completely changed all of our lives in one way or the other. And many of us would have personal stories about that. But since we have been at work fighting the pandemic, and Canada's essential workers have been really at the front line of that battle, and they are in many, many ways our nation's heroes. To help ensure the health and safety of these essential workers, and I would say indeed all Canadians, we launched the Made in Canada call to action. And this was really a moment in our nation where we took immediate strategic action with a long-term vision. And over the last 12 months, more than 6,500 companies all across our nation have answered the call. And the result of this Made in Canada initiative, dear colleagues, I would say are truly impressive. Indeed, Canada went from sourcing next to none of its personal protective equipment domestically before the pandemic, something that Minister Anand would know very well, to sourcing now roughly 40% of the personal protective equipment here at home in Canada. And then if there's one piece of personal protective equipment we know as being and will continue to be indispensable, it is the N95 respirator, what often workers would refer as the gold standard of respirators around the world. So in that respect, the fact that we are here today together is a vibrant testimony to how 3M, and I would say, Penny, your workers, answered present to the call for action. And when it came to this once in a generation moment, you did answer the call collectively to ensure the health and safety of all Canadians. And for that, we should all be grateful to you and all the workers of 3M Canada across our nation. Grâce à nos investissements et à ceux du gouvernement de l'Ontario, nos partenaires dans cette annonce-là, 3M a pu adapter sa chaîne de production ici même à son usine de Brockville, et elle pourra fournir aux Canadiens plus de 50 millions de masques N95 par année. C'est une très bonne nouvelle pour tout le monde, tant pour les professionnels de la santé que pour tous les autres travailleurs essentiels qui pourront ainsi poursuivre leur travail crucial de manière sécuritaire tout en portant un masque fait au Canada. This is all good news for the long term. Our government is committed to making sure that we are better prepared now and into the future by being more resilient and more self-sufficient, two words that I've been repeating again and again and again. We want to be more resilient as a nation, and whether we're talking about masks, as we're talking today, vaccines, or hand sanitizer. In terms of jobs, because not only we're investing in our resiliency, but this is also about jobs and growth in Ontario. So the production of the N95 mask here in Brockville will mean that 3M will employ an additional 30 full-time workers at the facility while maintaining more than 1,100 full-time positions across Canada. And I really want to say a big thank you to each and every worker of 3M Canada, because we know that talent attracts investments. And it's because of the talent, your know-how, your expertise that 3M Canada has chosen to invest in the facility in Brockville. And we, as government officials, have just been there to make sure that we support you in that endeavor. So last but not least, I want to commend the 3M Canada for also signing on to our government 50-30 challenge, Penny. And I want to thank you to increase diversity at the company's senior management. And I think this is something which is close to your heart, and certainly which is close to our heart, making sure that we have more women, more diversity at the table, because we know that once we're more inclusive, more diverse, we make better decisions. So en conclusion, permettez-moi encore en français cette fois de féliciter, de remercier tous ceux et celles qui ont contribué à l'annonce d'aujourd'hui. Nous sommes très heureux de travailler avec nos partenaires du gouvernement de l'Ontario, 3M Canada, pour évidemment assurer la santé et la sécurité des Canadiens. So in conclusion, I would say, let's seize the moment. And I would say, Penny, let's continue together to be ambitious, and let's continue to invest together in the health and safety of Canadians. And with that, I am more than happy to turn over the microphone now, virtually at least, to my dearest colleague, the Minister of Public Procurement of Canada, Minister Anand. The floor is yours.
Well, merci beaucoup, François-Philippe, et merci à tous et tous. C'est un plaisir d'être ici avec vous aujourd'hui. And aussi, I would like to thank Penny for shepherding us through this process and making sure that we're all here today to celebrate this incredible moment. Francois Philippe, it was a very generous introduction. And of course, it's always a pleasure to share the stage with you. Vic, I remember our conversation back in August when we were in Brockville together, and at least we're here virtually with each other today. Lisa and Stephen, you too, it's just wonderful to be with our provincial counterparts today to celebrate a fantastic deal to have the production of N95 masks right here in Ontario and right here in Canada. So it's a fantastic day, and I just feel so honored to be part of it. I will start, of course, also today to mention that I'm speaking from the traditional territory of many nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, and the Wendat peoples. And we are, as I mentioned, marking a very significant milestone at the Brockville plant, the culmination of such an important partnership and a truly Team Canada effort that is needed and that was needed and that we brought to fruition through the partnership of the federal government, the provincial government of Ontario, and 3M. And our Team Canada approach through this pandemic, I believe, will be one of the memories that I will carry forward into the future. Let me speak for a moment about vaccines. As Francois Philippe just mentioned, it is on our minds today. And as of yesterday, more than 10.5 million doses of vaccines have been received. An additional 3.2 million doses expected to arrive in Canada in the next 2 weeks alone. We know that a good deal of work lies ahead for Canada. We are, though, well on track to receive a total of 44 million vaccines by the end of June, and to provide vaccines to all Canadians who wish to be vaccinated by the end of September. Pendant que se poursuit la distribution des vaccins, nous devons tout continuer de suivre les consignes de la santé publique pour freiner la propagation du virus. Et nous devons continuer de protéger nos travailleurs de première ligne et leur fournissant le bon équipement. Face à une augmentation très inquiétante du nombre de cas en Ontario et ailleurs au Canada, nous devons tous rester extrêmement vigilants alors que nous efforçons d'endiguer une troisième vague d'infection. From the very beginning of our battle against COVID, our government pursued an aggressive procurement strategy in a competitive global market to acquire critical supplies. In all, our government has purchased approximately 2.5 billion pieces of PPE, including highly sought after N95 respirators. More than 1.5 billion items of PPE and medical supplies have been delivered to Canada to date. We worked with a variety of international suppliers and as a result secured millions of these vital respirators for Canada as quickly as possible. But it became evident early on, and Penny, you'll remember those discussions that we had. In order to meet Canada's long-term needs, we needed to ramp up domestic production of PPE across the board, including of N95s. Last year, the Prime Minister put the call out to Canadian businesses to help in the fight against COVID-19. And 3M was quick to step up and answer that call. As Francois Philippe just mentioned, both the Ontario provincial government and the federal government each invested over $23 million to partner with 3M Canada to expand the Brockville plant to produce N95 respirators. And the resulting 5-year agreement between the two governments to produce 50 million respirators each year starts paying off today, with N95s now rolling off the production line. Hats off to 3M for continuing this project, for producing 3M masks right here in Canada. And we know that you've already delivered more than 1 million made in Canada N95 respirators, and millions more are to come. We are looking forward to ensuring that these masks are distributed across the country by the Public Health Agency of Canada. And this is the second supplier to deliver made in Canada N95 masks. What this is a true testament to what can be achieved when we work together. And it marks an important milestone in our domestic capabilities to respond to this pandemic. Même si la distribution des vaccins de roule comme prévu, nous devons continuer de nous protéger et de protéger nos travailleurs de première ligne et nous devons être prêts à faire à toutes les éventualités. Avec la collaboration de nos partenaires, notre gouvernement continuera de s'assurer que les travailleurs de la santé de première ligne ont les fournitures nécessaires pour nous faire passer au travers de la pandémie. Pendant que nous rebâtirons en mieux, nous continuerons de consolider les emplois ici au pays et de collaborer avec l'industrie canadienne pour rendre notre pays plus résilient face aux éventuelles vagues du virus et de ses variants. Les entreprises comme 3M sont au cœur des efforts que nous déployons. While our vaccine rollout remains on track, we must continue to protect ourselves and our frontline workers, and we must be prepared for any eventuality. By working with our partners, our government will continue to ensure that frontline healthcare workers have the supplies that they need to get us through to the other side of this pandemic. As we build back better, we will continue to secure jobs here at home and work with Canadian industry to make our country more resilient to future possible waves of this virus and its variants. Companies such as 3M Canada are central to our efforts. And that's why we're here today to congratulate 3M on this important milestone. And I thank Penny and all employees at the Brockville plant for helping to keep Canadians across this country safe. I wish we could be there in person, and I look forward to celebrating this milestone in person with you sometime soon. I would also like to thank the province of Ontario. Throughout the negotiations for this transactions, we worked collaboratively together because we knew that we shared a common outcome, which to ensure that frontline healthcare workers had 3M N95s to protect themselves in the fight against COVID-19 and in treating their patients. And now I would like to introduce a short video highlighting their good work, the good work of 3M employees as we celebrate the first shipments of N95 respirators to roll off the production line in Brockville, Ontario. Thank you so much.
We put a shovel in the ground for the first time in September, and 7 months later, we are producing respirators and shipping respirators to customers in need.
Having an N95 production site within Canada is very important for Canadians because that ensures that we can be self-sufficient.
Every respirator that goes on one of those trailers is the highest performance respirator we could possibly give our customers.
We are helping the nurses, the doctors, the hospitals. We're helping everybody out there with this new line.
It's the light at the end of the tunnel and knowing that those trailers were going to ship. You know, those respirators would be in the hands of the people that need them.
It's the beginning steps of 3M Brockville supporting Canada with respirators.
My kids are so proud every day, knowing that you're on something that is going to affect so many different people's lives. It's amazing to be part of that.
Hi, I'm Vic Fedeli, Ontario's Minister of Economic Development, Job Creation and Trade. Premier Ford has asked that we share greetings and congratulations with you, Penny, and to our friends, Minister Anand and Minister Champagne, because today is a monumental day. We reached a significant milestone, not only for the people of Ontario, but for all of Canada. We've set the gold standard for producing essential medical equipment, and we're quickly gaining a strong reputation globally. We want to thank our partners at 3M and the federal government for coming together to make this critical investment for the benefit of people from all walks of life. Since the early days of the pandemic, we've heard about N95 respirators on the news, the ones that keep our health professionals and frontline workers safe while they're battling COVID-19. But Canada was forced to rely heavily on factories around the world for these specialized masks, and there were problems. Millions of foreign-made masks failed to meet Canadian quality standards and couldn't be used by our frontline healthcare workers. Other countries, including our allies, stopped exporting critical medical supplies abroad. We were vulnerable. And Premier Ford made it clear that the days of Ontario relying on foreign manufacturers for most of our critical healthcare supplies were over. Since then, Ontario has made it a priority to boost our domestic PPE supply chain. And here we are at the 3M Brockville plant, in spirit at least, celebrating the first shipment of critical made in Ontario N95 masks. Our healthcare and frontline heroes will get the protection they need in the continued fight against COVID-19. It means a stronger supply chain, reducing our dependence on overseas suppliers, both now and in the case of future challenges. And it means really good jobs for Ontario workers. This partnership is one of many efforts our government has spearheaded to fight this global pandemic. We have worked to leverage and expand our world-class manufacturing sector to meet the demand for PPE. We launched a $50 million Ontario Together Fund to support businesses who retool their operations, developing technology-driven solutions and services to help other businesses reopen safely. And we created a workplace PPE supplier directory with an up-to-date list of Ontario companies and business associations ready to supply PPE. 2 weeks ago, as part of the 2021 budget, we announced a further $50 million for this Ontario Together Fund. And in the coming months, as more vaccinations are rolled out and Ontario turns the corner on the pandemic, our government will build on our plan to generate further economic growth and create more jobs. By continuing to work with businesses and the manufacturing sector to find solutions, we'll beat this virus and be ready for any future challenges. Hope is on the horizon. Until then, Ontario will maintain its unwavering commitment to protect people's health, jobs, and our communities. A really huge thank you to Minister Lisa Thompson, Ontario's Minister of Government and Consumer Services, who's joining today. Lisa, your work to secure domestic procurement in Ontario, and we ensure we're all well prepared for the future challenges, has been unbelievably essential. Good job, Lisa. And now, Steve Clark, MPP for Leeds, Grenville, Thousand Islands, and Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing. And I have to say, the true champion of this 3M project will deliver his remarks. Merci à tous.
Thanks, Vic. Good afternoon, everybody. Bonjour tout le monde. I want to say, as the local MPP for Leeds, Grenville, Thousand Islands, and Rideau Lakes, and also Ontario's Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing, how much this means to me to be a part of the celebration of all the accomplishments for 3M Brockville. As Vic said, early on in the pandemic, Premier Ford pledged that Ontario's frontline heroes would never again have to worry about PPE supplies. And when he said that, I knew 3M and our community of Brockville could be part of that solution. And I want to thank Minister Champagne and Minister Anand for your great words about 3M. There's the workforce that Penny has assembled here in Brockville is literally second to none. And I can't say enough that the video that was played earlier just brought a chill, because I remember bringing this opportunity to Premier Ford, Minister Fedeli, and Minister Thompson. I literally, and Penny knows this, I literally drove by that vacant lot on California Avenue over and over again. And every time I did, I heard the Premier's words about never being beholden to another jurisdiction for PPE. So this means so much. And Minister Anand said it, this is a historic collaboration between the federal government and the province who work together to make this 3M N95 plant in Brockville a reality. And I'm joined in the chorus of voices that are so pleased that N95s are already being shipped from Brockville to aid in the fight against COVID-19. And I said this at the opening with the Prime Minister and the Premier. We're sending a message to healthcare workers at the 3 hospitals that serve my riding, in long-term care, the staff on the front lines everywhere, that we've got your back. You know, 3M and its production facilities in Brockville, they've been outstanding corporate citizens in this community for over 25 years. 3M stepped up when Canadians needed them to, and our governments have done everything possible to expedite the creation of this facility and the production of these masks that are so vital to what we're doing. And I can tell you that 7 months, I think I drove by there almost every other day. And it's such pride that the people of this city and this riding feel. And Penny, your people are top notch. We thank you for all your work. And I hope that all the ministers can come and visit the beautiful riding of Leeds, Grenville, Thousand Islands, and Rideau Lakes when it's safe to do so. We'll show you a fantastic time where our hospitality is second to none. So I now just want to turn things back to the President and CEO of 3M Canada, Penny Wise, to say a few words. So Penny, over to you.
Well, thank you, Minister Clark, and thanks for all of the speakers today. By the end of 2020, 3M globally produced 2 billion respirators. That was tripling our production since 2019. I'm very proud of our domestic manufacturing announcement today, as it's another key step towards our objective of continuing to increase respirator production to 2.5 billion respirators in 2021. If we look back to last year, construction on the expansion in Brockville began in September, and we swiftly put into motion our plans to manufacture more respirators right here in Canada. I'd like to take this opportunity to sincerely thank those who have given so generously of their time and their expertise to make this happen. The construction crews, the Ontario government, the federal government, and 3M employees in Canada, in the US, and around the world who, as you've seen and heard, worked tirelessly to get us to this announcement today. The collaboration and commitment to building a high-quality respirator, the gold standard of respirators, as medical staff call them, something that will keep Canadians safe, is an inspiring feat. I am proud and I am thankful to all of my colleagues and our partners who made this important project a reality. Thank you. Merci beaucoup.
Thank you very much, Ms. Wise. Thanks, ministers. We will now proceed to the Q&A segment with media. Representatives of the media will get a question and a follow-up. We'll have about 10 minutes for this segment. A quick reminder to media wishing to have access to the raw footage from the video that was broadcast earlier during this event. That raw footage is available to you by contacting Innovation Science Industry Canada. Merci, Ms. Wise. Merci, Mesdames, Messieurs les ministres. Nous allons maintenant procéder à la période de questions-réponses avec les médias. Les représentants des médias auront droit à une question et une question de suivi. Petit rappel aux médias rapidement qui souhaiteraient avoir accès aux images brutes de la vidéo qui a été diffusée pendant l'annonce d'aujourd'hui. Vous pouvez communiquer avec Innovation, Sciences et Industrie Canada pour avoir accès à ces images. I will now pass it over to the operator. Opérateur, c'est à vous.
Merci, thank you. The first question, la première question est de Libertium, the Canadian Press. À vous la parole, please go ahead.
Yes, thank you for talking to us today. I just wanted to ask why it took 8 months to get this facility up and running. And given that we've got, vaccines coming down the pipeline right now, whether the rollout of these N95s is a bit too late now, given where things are.
Lee, could you point